Right now, our CPU can think, but it can't remember what it was thinking about. We'll fix that in today's video by adding a program counter. Hello everyone, my name is Mike and you're watching Polymath Unlimited. In this series, we are building a Logisim simulation of an 8-bit CPU with the following design goals in mind. First, the CPU should be simple enough to make a physical build practical. Second, the CPU should be capable of complex operations. And third, the CPU should be easy to program. In the last episode, we added some address registers to our CPU, enabling us to access up to 64 kilobytes of RAM. In this episode, we will add a program counter to our CPU. This is a special register that will allow our CPU to keep track of which instruction it is executing when it runs programs. Our program counter will be more or less the same as a regular register, but with one important difference. We will add an increment input. If the clock cycles while this input is on, then the value stored in the program counter will get incremented by 1. This incrementing behavior will let our CPU use the address stored in the program counter to find the next instruction it should execute. We will also add a carry out output line, which will allow us to chain two 8-bit program counters together to enable us to count through all 64 kilobytes of our 16-bit address space. This aspect will be very similar to what we did with the address register in the last episode. So the question is then, how do we increment the value stored in the program counter by 1? We already know how to make circuits that perform addition, so one straightforward way we could do this is just by building an adder, feeding the value of the program counter into one input, and hardwiring a 1 into the other input. This would add a lot of unnecessary complexity to our circuit though, and there is a much simpler way to do it by simplifying our adder circuit to get rid of the features we don't need. Let's illustrate this by starting with a 4-bit adder. We'll set the A input to some number, and the B input to all zeros. Now, when the carry input is turned on, the output will be equal to A plus 1. Now we can begin simplifying this circuit based on one crucial fact. We know that all of the B inputs will always be 0. Because of this, we know that the AND gate in the first stage of all of the adders will always output a 0, and the XOR gate in the first stage will always simply pass along whatever the A input was. So we can get rid of both of these gates, along with the OR gates between carry stages. This leaves us with just the single half adders for each bit. By chaining all of these half adders together like we've done here, we've made a circuit whose entire purpose is to selectively increment the input by 1. We can continue adding more half adders to the chain, allowing us to increment numbers of any arbitrary width that we need. Now that we have our incrementer circuit, let's figure out how to add it to a register to turn that register into a counter. Recall that in our register, we have a multiplexer that selects between the register's current value and the data input. So we can simply add our incrementer circuit between the register's outputs and the multiplexer. Note that since the multiplexer we are using takes the register's inverted output as input, we need to change the XOR gates in our incrementer into XNOR gates. Now, whenever we cycle the clock, if the increment input is on, then the value in the register will get incremented. Notice that we can still load values into the register from the data input. This will come in handy later when we want to do jump or conditional branch instructions. Let's also add a reset input. This will reset the value in the counter to 0. We can do this by simply adding some extra inputs to the NOR gates in the latches of the D flip-flops and connecting our reset input to them. Now we could call our program counter good here, but there's one more improvement that I want to make. Let's add some carry look-ahead logic to the incrementer circuit. This will make it so that the incrementer outputs stabilize much more quickly, allowing our CPU to run at much higher clock speeds when we build it for real later. To do this, we just need to add more inputs to the AND gates in the incrementer. Now, instead of each incrementer stage taking its carry signal from the stage before it, each stage will instead generate its carry signal based on all of the input bits before it. This allows all of the carry signals to be generated simultaneously, avoiding the slow ripple carry behavior we had before. I made a whole video on carry look-ahead logic previously. Go ahead and check out that video if you want a more comprehensive explanation of how these circuits work. Now let's add our program counter to the CPU. We'll add two 8-bit program counters and feed the carry output of the low counter into the increment input of the high counter. We'll also connect the data inputs of both halves of the program counter to the data bus. It can also sometimes be useful to be able to directly access the value of the program counter and store it in memory somewhere. For example, if we want to jump to a subroutine, then return to where we left off after that subroutine ends, we need to be able to tell what the program counter was before we entered that subroutine so we can load that address back into the program counter to resume executing instructions where we left off. So we'll connect the program counter outputs to the data bus with some open collector NAND gates, just like we did with the accumulator earlier. Now we have a program counter, but how do we use that program counter to read values from memory? Well, one option is to simply load the value of the program counter into the address register using the data bus. This option is relatively straightforward, but when we execute instructions, this will add a lot of clock cycles to each instruction. The method that I prefer in this case is to simply use the program counter directly to read from memory. We can accomplish this by adding another bus to our CPU, the address bus. This will be a 16-bit bus that we will connect to the address inputs of our RAM. Just like we did with the data bus, we will connect our address register and program counter outputs all to the address bus with open collector NAND gates. Now we can select whether we want to use the address register or the program counter as the address for memory access. This does add a small amount of extra complexity to our CPU, but it will also make execution times much faster. So I think the trade-off here is well worth it. We're getting very close now to having a fully operational CPU. There's still a few things left to do though. One of the goals I had in mind when I started this project was to include hardware support for stack operations. We'll do that in the next video. Until then, feel free to play around in Logisim and see what you can create. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.